G'day guys, my name is Kobus and welcome to my video tutorial on how to ping an IP address in Java. I'm gonna make this a quick video. The code that you see in front of you is the code that you will see in the majority of blogs and forums on how to ping an IP address. But I've been having some difficulties using it. It's just didn't give me the desired results. So just to demonstrate what this does is using the inet address class, it gets get the IP address by name, and then it checks if the IP address is reachable. And if it basically takes that reachable boolean value and it stores it into status. And I check if status is true or false. In this case, if it's reachable, I just print the test string and I say is reachable, otherwise it's not reachable. So the problem that I had is with outside IP addresses beyond my local network. So if I run this code, you'll see that I'm trying to ping kitchen.net. And here at the bottom of the output you will see kitchen.net is unreachable. If I comment that and I uncomment an actual IP address to that server and I run the code again, it just cannot reach the IP address of that. Even sites like google.co.za, it's a very common site. It's pretty much on all the time, so I can't see why it wouldn't be able to reach it. It tells me it's unreachable. But if I do it to my local machine, it immediately tells me localhost is reachable. The same with the local IP address. It says it's reachable. So I'm not sure exactly why this is failing. So if you have any reasons why it could fail, please add them to the comments below. My only thoughts on that is it's most likely to do with some firewall or ISP settings or something. I basically created a class called WinCommander. The class has three functions in them, one called setIPAddress. The setIPAddress is basically just takes a string as an IP address. It stores in the IP address variable, which is declared here at the top. I have another function called getIPAddress, which just returns the IP address variable string value, and then getPingCommand. This function basically constructs a string which would form the ping command that we are going to send through to the Windows process, or execute as a Windows process. And then I just return that command, so it returns the whole string with the IP address, which is going to be ping whatever. Now I'm just going to uncomment this section, and then you'll see what I've basically done. So I created an instance of the WinCommander class. I set the IP address to kitchen.net, which is the exact same host name that I've used here at the top. Same IP addresses that I'm going to use. Now with this, I just create a process, and I use the get runtime environments of Java, and that will basically be the Windows environment that it returns, and I execute a command, and that command is the getPing command that gets constructed here at the top. So getPing command, it's just a normal ping with an IP address or a host name. So just to quickly demonstrate that, if you were to use command prompt, and you would type in ping kitchen.net, that is the host name, and that's your command that we are going to execute. So I'm basically creating that process, and I'm also creating a buffered reader that reads the input stream from the process, which means that until the process is finished, it's just going to keep on reading those lines, or reading it line by line. Here I have three variables, three int values, one called pings, one called timeouts, and one called other. So whenever an address is pinged successfully, it's just going to add it to the pings. If it's a timeout, it's going to add it to the timeouts, and if it's another line of code, then it's just going to add it to other. So like a normal text file or input stream, whatever kind of stream you are reading, you basically just read it line by line until the end of file is reached. So what I do here is, for each line, I basically just checks what it starts with. So on Windows machines, when you ping an IP address and the ping is successful, the line will always start with reply from. The same on a Windows environment. If the IP address cannot be pinged, then it will tell you request timed out. So the line will start with request timed out. So I basically use these if statements to check whether an IP address were pinged successfully or not, and I just add it to the pings, to the timeouts, or add other lines. I've tested this on a Linux environment, and on Linux, when you ping an IP address and the ping is successful, it starts with 64 bytes from, and then it has the IP address and the time and everything else next to it. So if the line starts with reply from in Windows, or 64 bytes from in Linux, then it adds it to the pings. In Windows, if an IP address cannot be pinged, it will start with request timed out, and on Linux, for some reason, there is no output at all. It just doesn't return anything when an IP address cannot be pinged, so something else can be done around here. Now, here at the bottom, I basically just checked if pings equals 4, and this is specifically for the Windows environment, because whenever you run a ping command, it pings it 4 times, and then it stops. You can, however, add another parameter to your ping commands, -t, which basically will just continue on pinging the IP address or the host name that you provide. So here I just say if pings equals 4, specifically for Windows, then the ping was successful. Otherwise, one or more ping timeouts. And those are the messages that I print out after doing the ping test. So you can be creative here and say if pings is larger or equal to 3, then assume it's successful. If it's smaller than 3, then treat it as an address that just went out, or that just times out. Now I'm going to run this. So if I run this, you'll see that the output is exactly the same as the output that you will get in the Windows command line or command prompt. And here it basically just tells me that the ping was successful. I can run that exact same thing with the actual IP address of the server, and it tells me the ping was successful. I can do it with one of our commonly known sites, google.co.za. It pings that google.co.za, and it tells me ping was successful. If I do it with an address that does not exist, it basically just tells me that the request timed out. And here you can see that if the request timed out, it basically just adds 1 to the timeout every time it times out. And here at the bottom, if pings is not equal to 4 in the Windows environment, it just tells me that 1 or more ping timeouts has occurred. So in this case, 4 timeouts, and it's obviously that that address doesn't exist. The same can be used for the local host. So if I do that, I say reply from the local IP version 6, ping successful, and if I use the actual local IP address, it pings that IP address and it starts with reply from the IP address. So when it's reply from, it adds to the pings. If it requests timeout, it adds to the timeouts, and it also counts the other lines. So I hope this has been helpful for some of you. So if you can use it, go ahead. And if you have any comments on why this above code, specifically with outside IP addresses or host names, doesn't show as reachable, please add it to the comments below. Thank you for watching.